I'm sitting on the edge of my couch, the one with the faded green cushions, that still smells faintly of the lavender candles I used to burn when life felt simpler. It's 2 a.m., and the only light in my Portland apartment comes from the street lamp outside, sneaking through the blinds in thin silvery stripes. My fingers trace the edges of a small bookmark, its hand-painted sunflower dulled by years, but still bright enough to remind me of Mom. She gave it to me when I was 16, right before she got sick, telling me to keep blooming no matter what. I've carried it everywhere since, tucked in my sketchbook, my purse, my life. Tonight, it feels like the only thing anchoring me to who I used to be. My name's Elena Harper. I'm 42, a freelance graphic designer by day and an art teacher at the community center a few nights a week. It's not glamorous, but it's mine, a life built from late nights sketching logos for small businesses and teaching kids like Jasper how to hold a paintbrush, like it's an extension of their heart. I thought I had it figured out, a quiet home, a husband I loved, a purpose. But yesterday at the charity gala, I spent months planning everything I thought I knew about my marriage. My worth shattered, like a glass dropped on concrete. Nathan and I have been married for 15 years. He's 44, a marketing exec with a smile that could sell ice to a glacier. When we met in college, he was the guy who'd sit with me in the art studio, joking about my paint-splattered jeans while secretly admiring my work. He'd say, "Elena, you're going to make the world see colors it didn't know existed." Back then, I believed him. I believed us. But as his career climbed fancy suits, late nights, networking events, something shifted. He stopped asking about my art. I stopped expecting him to. I told myself it was just life, that love changes shape over time. I was wrong. The gala was at the Riverfront Pavilion, a sleek venue with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Willamette River. I'd spent weeks designing the posters, curating the silent auction, even handpicking the fairy lights that twinkled like stars above the dance floor. It was for a local youth arts program, the kind of cause that makes my heart hum. I wore my best dress, a deep indigo number I'd found on clearance, simple but elegant, paired with the silver earrings Nathan gave me for our 10th anniversary. I felt good, like I belonged in that glittering room of Portland's elite. Nathan was there, of course, charming the crowd in his tailored blazer. I caught his eye across the room, and he flashed that megawatt smile. But it didn't reach me. It hadn't in years. I was chatting with Claire, the event planner, who'd become a friendly acquaintance when I noticed Nathan slip outside with a woman I didn't recognize. She was young, maybe 28, with sleek blonde hair and a sequined dress that screamed influencer. I brushed it off. Networking, I told myself. He's always networking. But then Maya, my best friend, pulled me aside. Maya's a barista at this cozy coffee shop in Southeast Portland, the kind of place where the walls are covered in local art, and the air smells like roasted beans. She's got this no-nonsense vibe, like she's seen the world's nonsense and isn't buying it. "Elena," she whispered, her brown eyes sharp, "you need to see this." She handed me her phone, open to an Instagram story. It was the blonde from outside, posing with Nathan at a rooftop bar last week, her arm around him, the caption reading, "Manifesting forever with my favorite person. Power couple." My stomach dropped. The timestamp was from a night Nathan said he was at a client dinner. I wanted to confront him right there. But the gala was still buzzing, and I had a speech to give. So I shoved the phone back to Maya, straightened my shoulders, and walked to the podium. My voice didn't shake as I thanked the donors, but inside, I was unraveling. After I stepped outside to the riverfront deck, needing air. That's when Nathan and the blonde Lila I'd later learn found me. "Elena," Nathan said, his voice smooth as ever, "we need to talk." Lila stood beside him, her lips curved in a smirk that made my skin crawl. They led me to a quiet corner, the river glinting under the moonlight behind us. "This is Lila," he said, like he was introducing a colleague. "We're together now. I'm filing for divorce next week." The words hit like a slap, but I stayed silent, clutching my purse where the sunflower bookmark rested. "Here's the deal," Nathan continued, his tone businesslike. We want the house. It's only fair you can't afford it on your own. And Lila and I need it for our future. Sign it over and we'll keep things civil. No need to drag your name through the mud. Lila chimed in, her voice dripping with condescension. Let's be real, Elena. You're not exactly living the high life. That little art gig cute, but it's not this. She gestured to the Gala, her diamond bracelet catching the light. Give us the house, or we'll make sure everyone in the city knows you're a nobody clinging to Nathan's success. You'll be a laughingstock. I stared at them, my husband and this stranger, their faces smug with certainty. 15 years of building a life together. Me working late to pay bills, while he chased promotions. Me sketching in the margins of his dreams. And this was what it came to. A demand to erase myself for their shiny new story. I thought of Mom, her voice steady even in her hospital bed. Bloom, Elena. Don't let anyone dim your light. I need time to think, I said, my voice calm despite the storm inside. Nathan's eyes narrowed like he'd expected me to crumble. Don't take too long, he warned. We're announcing our engagement next month and we'd rather not have complications. Lila laughed a sharp, brittle sound, and they walked back to the Gala, leaving me alone with the river and my thoughts. I didn't cry. Instead, I pulled out the bookmark, its sunflower staring back at me. Mom gave it to me after I told her I was scared I'd never be enough. You're already enough, she'd said. You just have to believe it. I tucked it back into my purse and made a decision. I wasn't going to beg or fight. I was going to bloom. When I returned to the Gala, Maya was waiting, her arms crossed. What happened? She asked, reading my face. I told her everything, and her jaw tightened. They think you're weak, she said. They're wrong. She hugged me fierce and warm, and for the first time that night, I felt like I wasn't alone. As I drove home, the city lights blurring through my windshield, I kept seeing Nathan's smirk, Lila's bracelet, the way they assumed I'd fold. But something else was stirring inside me, a quiet, steady fire. They thought they knew me, the woman who'd spent years making their world brighter. They thought I'd vanish quietly. They were wrong. I parked outside my apartment, the bookmark still in my hand. Tomorrow I'd start digging. Not for revenge, but for truth. For me. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of rain-soaked pavement drifting through my apartment window. Portland's spring drizzle had painted the city in a soft gray, and for a moment I lay still staring at the ceiling, hoping last night was a bad dream. But the ache in my chest and the sunflower bookmark on my nightstand told me otherwise. Nathan's words, sign it over, and we'll keep things civil, looped in my head, each syllable a reminder of how little I'd meant to him. I wasn't ready to face the world, but I wasn't ready to break either. I dragged myself to the kitchen, brewed a pot of coffee, and pulled out my laptop. If Nathan thought I'd just hand over our home, the one I'd poured my savings into, while he chased his corner office, he was about to learn who I really am. I'm not some fragile artist he can bully. I'm the woman who balanced freelance gigs and teaching to keep us afloat when his big deals fell through. I'm the one who believed in us when he stopped believing in me. Maya showed up at 10 a.m., her raincoat dripping as she kicked off her boots. You look like crap, she said, tossing a bag of croissants from her coffee shop onto the counter. But you're still standing, so that's something. I managed a half smile, grateful for her bluntness. Maya's the kind of friend who doesn't sugarcoat, but always has your back. She sat across from me, her dark curls frizzing from the damp, and fixed me with a look. So, what's the plan, Elena? You're not seriously thinking about giving them the house, right? No way, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. But I need to know what Nathan's hiding. He's not just leaving me. He's playing some kind of game. I can feel it. Maya nodded, pulling out her phone. Good, because I did some digging after the Gala. Check this out. She opened Instagram and scrolled to Lila's profile, a curated grid of glossy selfies and luxury vibes. One post from a month ago showed her in a sleek office with a caption, "Big moves with my partner in crime. New ventures." The background had a logo on the wall, a stylized H that matched Nathan's marketing firm. "That's his office," I said, my stomach twisting. "She's been there. This isn't just an affair." Maya leaned closer. "Exactly. And get this, Lila's been tagging locations all over town, places Nathan never mentioned. Fancy restaurants, a condo downtown, even a trip to Seattle. Either he's got a secret trust fund, or he's spending money that's not his." Her words hit hard. Our joint account had been tight for years, with me covering most of the mortgage, while Nathan swore his bonuses were tied up in investments. Was he funneling our money to impress Lila? I opened our bank app, hands shaking as I logged in. The joint account was nearly empty, $1, $200 left, when there should have been at least $15,000. My heart raced as I clicked through the transactions. Withdrawals, big ones, to accounts I didn't recognize starting 6 months ago. $5,000 here, $3,000 there, labeled vaguely as consulting fees or business expenses. Nathan had access to the account, but we'd always agreed to discuss big moves. He hadn't said a word. "Maya, he's draining us," I whispered, shoving the laptop toward her. She scanned the screen, her jaw tightening. "This is theft, Elena. He's screwing you over, and Lila's probably in on it." She grabbed her phone again, typing furiously. "I know a guy from the shop, a regular, works in finance. He might be able to trace where the money's going. You cool with me looping him in?" I nodded, too stunned to argue. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was calculated, cold. While Maya texted her contact, I pulled the sunflower bookmark from my purse, running my thumb over its faded petals. Mom used to say, sunflowers follow the light, even on cloudy days. I needed that light now, something to guide me through this mess. I thought about Jasper, the quiet kid from my art class, who'd been sketching in the corner last week, his hoodie swallowing his lanky frame. He'd stayed late, showing me a drawing of a stormy sea, all jagged waves and hidden stars. "It's how I feel sometimes," he'd mumbled. "Like the storm's all anyone sees, but the stars are still there." I'd told him to keep drawing, that the stars mattered. Now I needed to believe that for myself. I headed to the community center that afternoon, needing the distraction. The classroom smelled like acrylic paint, and possibility a safe haven from the chaos of my life. Jasper was there already at his easel, his pencil scratching softly. "Hey, Ms. Harper," he said, glancing up. "You okay? You look tired." I forced a smile. "Just life, you know. How's the sea coming along?" He hesitated, then slid a new sketch toward me. A sunflower in a rainstorm, its petals bent but unbroken. "Thought you might like it," he said, shy. "You always talk about sunflowers." I stared at the drawing, my throat tightening. This kid who barely spoke in class had seen me, really seen me. "It's beautiful, Jasper," I said, my voice catching. "Mind if I keep it?" He nodded, a small grin breaking through. I tucked the sketch into my bag next to the bookmark, feeling a spark of something I hadn't in days. Hope, maybe. Or purpose. Back home, Maya called with an update. Her finance guy had found a lead. One of Nathan's withdrawals went to a real estate company downtown tied to a condo in Lila's name. "It's not cheap," Elena Maya said. "We're talking $500,000. Nathan's either got a side hustle we don't know about, or he's using your money to play house." I paced the apartment, anger bubbling under my skin. Our home, the one we'd painted together, where I'd planted sunflowers in the backyard, was being traded for Lila's Instagram perfect life. I sat at my desk, pulling up Nathan's email account. We'd shared passwords years ago, back when trust was a given. I hadn't checked it in forever, but desperation makes you bold. Most of the inbox was work stuff, client pitches, meeting invites. But one email buried in a folder labeled personal caught my eye. It was from Lila, sent 2 weeks ago, with the subject Our Timeline. I clicked, my pulse hammering. The email was short, but damning. "Babe, the realtor confirmed the condo's ours once you close the house deal. Tell Elena whatever gets her to sign sob story threats doesn't matter. We need it by next month for the engagement party." XOXOL attached was a photo of them laughing on a balcony, the city skyline behind them. I recognized the view. It was the condo Maya mentioned, the one Nathan was bankrolling with our money. I leaned back, the room spinning. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a plan, a script they'd written with me as the disposable extra. But they'd miscalculated. They saw the quiet artist, the woman who'd bent over backward for love. They didn't see the Elena who'd clawed her way through grief after Mom died, who'd built a life from nothing but stubborn hope. They didn't know I was already blooming. I texted Maya, found an email. They're planning to flip the house for a condo. We need to talk. Her reply was instant. My place tomorrow. Bring coffee. We're gonna bury these jerks. I smiled, the first real one in days. Then, I looked at Jasper's sketch, the sunflower standing tall in the storm. I wasn't fighting for Nathan anymore. I was fighting for me. The rain had stopped by the time I got to Maya's coffee shop the next day. But the air still felt heavy, like the sky was holding its breath. I pushed through the door, the bell jingling above me, and the smell of fresh espresso hit like a warm hug. Maya was behind the counter, steaming milk for a latte, her apron dusted with flour from the morning's baking. "Yo, Elena," she called, nodding toward a corner table. "Grab a seat. Coffee's on me." I slid into the chair, the sunflower bookmark tucked in my pocket, its edges worn but steady against my fingers. It was my talisman, now a reminder that I could face whatever Nathan and Lila threw at me. I'd barely slept, my mind replaying Lila's email. "Tell Elena whatever gets her to sign sob story threats doesn't matter." The cruelty of it, the way they'd scripted my downfall, burned deeper than the betrayal itself. But I wasn't the woman they thought, some pushover who'd fade into the background. I'd spent years lifting Nathan up, believing in his dreams while he chipped away at mine. Now I was done playing small. Maya slid into the seat across from me, 2 mugs in hand, her eyes sharp with purpose. "Okay, so my finance guy Tom came through," she said, keeping her voice low. "Those withdrawals from your account. They're tied to a shell company Nathan set up last year. It's got a fancy name, Horizon Ventures, but it's basically a front to funnel money to Lila's condo and some shady marketing deal Nathan's pitching to investors." I blinked, trying to process. "A shell company? Nathan's not that smart." Maya snorted. "He's not. Tom thinks he's got someone pulling strings, maybe a client at his firm. We're still digging, but this is bigger than just your money, Elena. He's playing with fire." I sipped my coffee, the bitterness matching my mood. "So he's stealing from me to bankroll Lila and some sketchy business deal. Why not just divorce me and move on?" Maya leaned back, crossing her arms. "Because he needs the house. Tom says the condo's leveraged to the hilt. Nathan's using your equity as collateral to secure loans for his venture. If you don't sign, his whole house of cards collapses." Her words landed like a punch. Our home, where I'd painted the living room sage green and hung my sketches, wasn't just a prize for them. It was the linchpin of Nathan's scam. I felt a surge of anger, but also clarity. This wasn't about love or even greed. It was about control. Nathan and Lila thought they could bully me into submission, erase me from their glossy narrative. But they'd underestimated me, and that was their first mistake. "What now?" I asked. Maya grinned, a glint in her eye. "Tom's tracing the shell company's accounts, but we need more. You still got access to Nathan's work calendar?" I nodded. "Yeah, it syncs with mine. He never bothered to unlink it." "Perfect," she said. "Check it. If he's meeting investors, we might find who's bankrolling this mess." Before I could pull out my phone, my pocket buzzed. A text from Claire, the event planner from the Gala. "Hey Elena, found something in the Gala files you might want to see. Can we meet?" I frowned, showing Maya the message. "Claire, what's she got to do with this?" Maya shrugged. "Only one way to find out. She's got access to all the donor lists, right? Maybe Nathan's been cozying up to someone important." My gut told me Claire's text wasn't random. She'd always been kind, slipping me extra coffee during late-night planning sessions. If she had something, I needed to hear it. I met Claire that afternoon at a quiet park near the river, the Willamette, sparkling under a rare burst of sun. She was waiting on a bench, her auburn hair tucked into a neat bun, a manila folder in her lap. "Elena," she said, her smile warm but hesitant. "I wasn't sure if I should bother you, but this felt off." She handed me the folder. Inside were printouts from the Gala's silent auction, including bids and donor notes. One entry caught my eye: a weekend at a Seattle penthouse, donated by Horizon Ventures, with a handwritten note, "Contact Nathan Harper for details." My breath caught. "Claire, where'd you get this?" She bit her lip. I was cross-checking receipts and saw Nathan's name. I remembered you two are married and, well, the donor's email didn't match his firm's domain. It's some Gmail account, super generic. I thought you should know. I stared at the page, my mind racing. Nathan was using the Gala, my Gala, the one I'd poured my heart into, to launder his fake company's name, probably to impress investors. "Thanks, Claire," I said, my voice tight. "This means a lot." She touched my arm, her eyes soft. "You're one of the good ones, Elena. Whatever's going on, I'm rooting for you." I nodded, too choked up to say more. As she walked away, I clutched the folder, feeling the weight of what I was up against. Nathan wasn't just betraying me. He was building a lie so big it could ruin us all. Back at the community center, I needed to clear my head before diving into Nathan's calendar. The classroom was empty, my students gone for the day, but Jasper's sunflower sketch was still on my desk, next to a fresh canvas I'd set up for tomorrow's class. I traced the sketch's lines, remembering his quiet voice. "The storm's all anyone sees, but the stars are still there." I pulled the bookmark from my pocket, setting it beside the sketch. Mom's sunflowers. Jasper's sunflowers. They were telling me to keep going, to find the light. I opened my laptop and checked Nathan's calendar. Most entries were routine client lunches, team meetings, but one stood out: a private consultation tomorrow at a downtown wine bar marked with just a name, R. Caldwell. No company, no context. I Googled the name and my heart skipped. Rachel Caldwell, a venture capitalist known for backing risky startups. If Nathan was pitching Horizon Ventures to her, he was playing in a league way above his pay grade. And if he was using my money as bait, I had to stop him. I texted Maya the details, and she replied, "Wine bar, huh, fancy? Let's crash it." Not literally, but you know what I mean. I laughed, a small release of tension. Maya's fire was contagious, but I knew I had to be smart, not reckless. Confronting Nathan now would tip him off. Instead, I needed to gather more to build a case so airtight he couldn't wiggle out. I thought about the Gala, how Nathan had slipped outside with Lila, assuming I wouldn't notice. He'd always underestimated me, seen me as the quiet wife who'd never fight back. But quiet doesn't mean weak. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, the folder and sketch spread out before me. I started sketching something I hadn't done for myself in years. It was a sunflower, but different. Its petals sharp, almost defiant, rooted in cracked earth, but reaching for a stormy sky. As my pencil moved, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about protecting my home anymore. It was about reclaiming my voice, my art, my life. Nathan and Lila thought they could bury me. They were about to find out what happens when a sunflower breaks through the dirt. I stood outside the wine bar, the neon sign casting a warm glow over the wet Portland sidewalk. The city hummed around me, cars splashing through puddles, laughter spilling from nearby bars, but my world had narrowed to the glass door in front of me. Inside, Nathan was meeting Rachel Caldwell, the venture capitalist who could make or break his shady deal. My heart pounded, but I clutched the sunflower bookmark in my coat pocket, its familiar edges grounding me. Mom's voice echoed in my head. "Keep blooming, Elena." Tonight, I wasn't just blooming. I was fighting. Maya was beside me, her hood up against the drizzle, her eyes scanning the street like a hawk. "You sure about this?" she whispered, adjusting her scarf. We're not exactly spies. I gave her a small smile. We don't need to be. We just need to listen. The plan was simple: slip and blend into the crowd and catch whatever Nathan was pitching. Maya's finance guy Tom had confirmed Horizon Ventures was a house of cards, fake financials, inflated projections, all propped up by my stolen money. If Nathan was selling Rachel on it, we needed proof to shut him down. We stepped inside, the air thick with the scent of oak barrels and expensive perfume. The bar was upscale but cozy, with low lighting and leather booths packed with Portland's business crowd. I spotted Nathan in a corner booth, his tailored blazer crisp, his smile dialed to maximum charm. Rachel Caldwell sat across from him, her sharp bob and designer glasses giving her an air of quiet authority. Lila wasn't there, probably off curating her Instagram aesthetic. I pulled my cap lower, grateful for the dim lights, and slid into a booth nearby Maya, right behind me. We ordered drinks, Merlot for me, gin for her to look like we belonged. Nathan's voice carried just enough for us to catch fragments. Horizon Ventures is positioned for exponential growth, he said, leaning in. We've secured key assets, including prime real estate, fully collateralized. My stomach churned. He was talking about our house, spinning it as his golden ticket. Rachel nodded her pen, tapping a notebook. Your numbers are bold, she said, her tone neutral. But I'll need to see the asset documentation. The property you mentioned, it's clean. No liens, Nathan didn't miss a beat. Absolutely. My wife's on board, just a formality to finalize the transfer. I gripped my glass, anger flaring. On board? He was lying through his teeth, betting I'd cave. Maya nudged me, her eyes wide. He's desperate, she mouthed, scribbling on a napkin. Record this. I hesitated. Eavesdropping was one thing, but recording felt like crossing a line. Then I thought of Lila's email, their smug faces at the gala, the way they'd planned to erase me. I pulled out my phone, hit record, and angled it under the table, catching Nathan's next words. The equity's solid, Rachel. We're talking $800,000 minimum. My partner's already secured the secondary property. Partner. Lila, no doubt living large on my dime. Rachel's pen stopped. Your partner, she said, her voice cooler. They're not listed in the prospectus. Who are they? Nathan faltered just for a second, then recovered. A private investor prefers anonymity. All above board. I could tell Rachel wasn't buying it. Her eyes narrowed and she closed her notebook. I don't invest in shadows, Nathan. Send me the full asset report by tomorrow, or we're done. She stood, leaving him with a tight smile and a half-empty wine glass. Nathan's charm cracked his shoulders, slumping as he stared at the table. Maya grinned, whispering, he's screwed. But I wasn't celebrating yet. Nathan's lie about the house was a ticking bomb, and I needed to disarm it before he doubled down. As he paid his tab and left, I stopped recording, my mind racing. We've got something, I said, but it's not enough. He'll fake those documents. He's done it before. Maya nodded, her expression fierce. Then we beat him at his own game. Tom says the shell company's got a paper trail, sloppy one. If we can get it to Rachel, she'll pull the plug. I thought about Claire's folder, the Gala auction slip tying Nathan to Horizon Ventures. It was a start, but I needed more than a hunch to unravel his web. That's when an idea hit, not loud or vengeful, but quiet, sharp, like a seed breaking through soil. I couldn't outspend Nathan or outtalk him, but I could outsmart him. Maya? I said, my voice steady. Can you get Tom to draft a summary of the shell company's transactions? Something professional, like a tip-off. Her eyes lit up. An anonymous whistleblower vibe, I like it. We send it to Rachel, let her do the heavy lifting. We left the bar, the cool night air a relief after the tension inside. Back at my apartment, I spread out Claire's folder, Jasper's sketch, and my own sunflower drawing. The bookmark sat in the center, its faded petals, a quiet promise. I thought about Jasper, how he'd seen the stars in his stormy sea. I was starting to see mine, too. I called Claire, keeping it casual. Hey, any chance you've got more Gala donor records? I'm double-checking some sponsors for next year. She didn't ask questions, just promised to email me what she had. I hung up, feeling a flicker of control for the first time in weeks. The next morning, I went to the community center early, needing the calm of the classroom. Jasper was there setting up his easel, his hoodie swapped for a flannel that looked new. "Ms. Harper, he said you didn't tell me you're like famous." I laughed, confused. "Famous hardly." He pulled out his phone, showing me an Instagram post from the Gala's official account. It was a photo of me at the podium mid-speech with a caption, "Shout out to Elena Harper for designing our stunning visuals and making this night unforgettable." The post had hundreds of likes, comments praising my work. I stared, my throat tight. Nathan had walked all over my efforts, but here was proof I'd made something real. "People see you," Jasper said, shy but earnest. "You're not invisible." His words hit harder than he knew. I'd spent years feeling like Nathan's shadow, but maybe I'd been shining all along. I thanked him, tucking the bookmark deeper into my pocket. When I checked my email, Claire had come through a spreadsheet of Gala donors, including an entry for Horizon Ventures, with a contact number I didn't recognize. I cross-checked it online. It was a burner phone, the kind you buy for cash. Nathan wasn't just sloppy, he was reckless. I met Maya at her shop that afternoon, handing her the spreadsheet. "This is gold," she said, scanning it. "Tom's almost done with the summary. We'll email it to Rachel from a throwaway account flagged as concerned citizen. No trace back to you." I nodded, but my mind was on the house, our house, with its creaky porch and sunflower garden. I couldn't let Nathan sell it out from under me. "I'm calling a realtor," I said. "Not to sell, but to lock down the title. Make it harder for him to fake anything." Maya raised her coffee mug. "That's my girl, quiet but deadly." As I left the shop, I pulled out my sketch from last night, the defiant sunflower in the storm. I added a detail, a single star above it, small but bright. It felt like a promise to myself. Nathan and Lila thought they'd won, but they didn't know the game had changed. I wasn't just digging for truth anymore. I was planting roots for something new. The Portland sky was clear for once, a soft blue stretching over the city like a promise. I stood on my porch, the creaky boards familiar under my feet, and looked at the sunflower garden I'd planted years ago. The blooms were tall, their golden petals defiant against the fading spring light. I held the sunflower bookmark in one hand, Jasper's sketch in the other, and felt a quiet certainty settle in my chest. Today, I'd end this not with a fight, but with truth. Nathan and Lila thought they could bury me, but they didn't know I'd already broken through the dirt. It had been 3 days since the wine bar, and Maya's plan was in motion. Tom, her finance guy, had compiled an airtight summary of Horizon Ventures' shady transactions. Fake financials, diverted funds, the burner phone tied to the Gala. We'd sent it to Rachel Caldwell from a throwaway email, flagged as concerned citizen, with just enough detail to spark her curiosity. Maya was sure Rachel's team would dig deeper, and if they did, Nathan's house of cards would collapse. I'd also called a realtor friend, Sarah, who'd helped me file paperwork to freeze any title transfers on the house. Nathan couldn't sell it without my signature, no matter how many lies he spun. But I wasn't done. I needed Nathan and Lila to see me not the quiet wife they'd mocked, but the woman who'd built this life, who'd survived their betrayal. I texted Nathan that morning, keeping it simple. "Meet me at the house 2 p.m. We need to talk about the divorce. No threats, no hints. Let him think I was caving." Maya had laughed when I told her the plan. "You're playing chess while they're playing checkers," she'd said, handing me a latte. "Give 'em hell, Elena." At 1:55, I was in the living room, the sage-green walls glowing in the sunlight. My sketches hung proudly, each one a piece of me Nathan had ignored. The bookmark and Jasper's sketch sat on the coffee table next to a folder with Claire's Gala records and a printout of Lila's email. I wasn't planning to wave them around, just knowing they were there gave me strength. The doorbell rang, and I opened it to find Nathan and Lila, their faces a mix of smugness and impatience. Nathan wore his usual blazer. Lila a sleek white dress that screamed influencer. "Let's make this quick," Nathan said, stepping inside. You ready to sign? I gestured to the couch, my voice calm. Sit. We're not rushing this. Lila rolled her eyes, but they sat her bracelet glinting as she crossed her arms. I stood letting the silence stretch, watching their confidence flicker. I've been thinking about your offer, I said, pacing slowly. The house your threats, the whole laughingstock thing. And I realized something you don't know me at all. Nathan's jaw tightened. Elena, don't make this harder than it needs to be. Sign the papers and we're done. Done. I tilted my head, a small smile tugging at my lips. You're not done, Nathan. You're just getting started. Horizon Ventures, for example. That's a bold move. Fake financials, a condo you can't afford pitching to Rachel Caldwell. Like you're some big shot. How's that going, by the way? His face paled, and Lila's smirk vanished. What are you talking about? She snapped, but her voice wavered. I didn't answer, just picked up the bookmark, running my thumb over its petals. You thought I'd fold, I said. You thought I'd let you take everything I've built. But you forgot one thing, I'm not invisible. Nathan stood his charm replaced by panic. You're bluffing. You don't have anything. I met his eyes, unflinching. Don't I? Rachel got an interesting email this week. Transactions, phone numbers, Gala donations that don't add up. She's not the type to invest in liars. Lila's hand flew to her phone, probably checking for damage control, but Nathan grabbed her arm. Elena, if you did something stupid, I swear you'll what? I cut him off, my voice sharp but steady. Ruin me? You already tried. And you failed. The room was silent, the weight of their miscalculation hanging heavy. I didn't need to yell or cry, I'd already won. I'm not signing, I said. The house is mine and so is my life. You want to play power couple? Go ahead, but you're doing it without my money or my home. Lila's face twisted, her voice venomous. You're pathetic clinging to this dump. We're building something real. I laughed, soft and genuine. Real. You're building a lie, Lila, and it's crumbling. Nathan's phone buzzed and he glanced at it, his expression collapsing. Rachel, he muttered, his voice hollow. I didn't need to see the screen to know her team had found the truth, just like Maya predicted. He looked at me, desperate. Elena, we can work this out. I'll pay you back whatever you want. I shook my head, picking up Jasper's sketch. I wanted a partner, Nathan. I wanted us. You chose this. Now live with it. I walked them to the door, their footsteps heavy, their future unraveling. As they left, Lila turned her eyes cold. You'll regret this. I smiled, the sunflower bookmark warm in my hand. I won't. The door closed, and I leaned against it, exhaling a breath I'd held for years. The house was quiet, but not empty. It was full of me, my art, my strength. That evening, I went to the community center where Jasper and the other kids were painting. He waved me over, showing me a new sketch, a sunflower field under a starry sky. It's for you, he said, shy. Figured you'd like the stars. I hugged him, tears prickling my eyes. You're right, Jasper. I do. Later, I met Maya at her shop where she raised a coffee and a mock toast. To Elena Harper, badass extraordinaire. I laughed, feeling lighter than I had in months. I kept the house, selling some sketches to cover the mortgage. Sarah, the realtor, helped me secure the title, and I started a small art collective at the center, mentoring kids like Jasper. The gala organizers invited me back not as a volunteer, but as a featured artist. Nathan and Lila faded from the scene. Rumors swirled about a failed deal and a repossessed condo, but I didn't care. They were ghosts now, shadows of a life I'd outgrown. I framed Jasper's sketch, hanging it next to my own sunflower drawing. The bookmark stayed in my sketchbook, a quiet reminder of Mom's words. Keep blooming. I was blooming not for Nathan or anyone else, but for me. I'd walked through the storm and found my stars. And for the first time in years, I knew they'd always been there.